So there's a gentleman who's partner of many years, not just life partner, love partner, but also musical partner, is faced with her mortality. She may not have much longer to live. And he is in a place of a lot of questions, some frustration, helplessness, sadness, grief for many things, not just the loss of their relationship soon, but all the music that they made together and will not make together anymore. Another woman whose son moved in to live with her probably 10 years ago to help her in her elder years. He is now faced with making his transition. And she is, for all intents and purposes, his caregiver because he's still living at home with her. And she is faced with losing her baby boy because they are still our babies no matter how old they are. He may be 60, but it doesn't matter. She's watching him die. And he's having a hard time physically. And we've talked a lot in the last 2 days, yesterday and today, about this place that she is in, having to experience this with him and walk with him on this journey and to find the strength that she needs to keep moving moment by moment, to be there for him as much as she can, and to also be there for herself. Another woman that I know, who's a member of my grief support group, is grappling with not being able to have children ever. She thought perhaps IVF was going to be a solution, and she's just found out that that's not possible for her and for her partner. And so there's not just this situation where she's wanted something for a very, very long time is not going to happen, but all the hopes and dreams she had for being a mother are not going to happen. And so these three blessed souls are in a place where many of us find ourselves at times with something that probably we don't want. We don't want. I watched my mother fight and resist her transition in her last 2 weeks. And it was painful to watch and painful to experience with her. And so we get in these places in life where things are just hard. And hard's not the word. And a lot of that time, we don't know how long we're going to be in that situation. We don't know how long it's going to last. Because nobody can tell us. The doctor and my mother's hospice doctor told me that he can tell from what's happening physically how long someone might live, but he knows that the physical is not in charge, that there's something else at work, and that even though he was telling me probably every day for about 6-7 days that it could be any moment now, that it was my mother's spirit or some other energy that was in charge that would determine when she would take her last breath. That there was something else at work there. And so he said, On the physical level, I can tell you it's any moment now. But with whatever is in charge here, and he said, indeed, there is something else in charge. I can't tell you when this will be over. I can't tell you when it's over. And so always in those moments, as with any moment, we get to decide what that moment looks like, feels like, and how we experience it. Because surely we all characterize these times as times of suffering. Times of suffering. You know, our hearts are breaking. We're tired. We keep thinking we just want it to be over. And even when it's over, it's not over, because then the next phase of grief starts. And then the loss is different, but it continues. The loss is different, it just continues. And so it's another chapter in the grief and in the loss. But in the meantime, we're in that space, that painful space. And a lot of people are in painful spaces right now. A lot of people. Some of you might be in this room. Some of you are in painful spaces right now. And so the human reaction to pain is to fight or to flee. That's what our brains are wired for, is to fight or to flee. And yet, our souls call us to do something different. Because as long as we fight, as long as we resist, as long as we want to run away, we expand the energy of the suffering. And the suffering gets deeper and harder. And our bodies start to rebel. We've got adrenaline and all other kinds of hormones rushing around our bodies. And so we feel terrible. We feel like a hot mess. We can't think because our bodies are trying to get us to run away and stay away. And part of us is just hoping that this is just going to be over. And all we think is, please be over, please be over, please be over. And unfortunately, in our philosophy, in the unity philosophy, sometimes we get caught into believing that we have something we can do to make it end. And that by our consciousness, we can will it. And so, with some of these souls, the question was, what am I doing wrong? Have I not prayed enough? Have I not affirmed something enough? Do I not understand God well enough to make this change? And the reality is, we're just in it. And there is no praying it away, because if we could pray away our pain, folks would have been praying away pain from the first time man walked and was aware of pain and suffering and had a frame of reference for that. We would be wishing it away and it would go away. And yet sometimes we're just in a situation. Sometimes we're just in. And the beauty of life is that we do just get to be in it. We do just get to be in it. So the young woman who's dealing with not being a mother framed it so beautifully in our last grief support session. Because we talk often about accepting where we are. Accepting the situation for exactly what it is. Because as long as we've got our heads in the sand, then we can't get to where our spirits have peace. Even in the midst of a challenge. And she said, I don't think I'm near accepting yet I'm just resting here. I'm just resting in it. I'm resting. And when we rest, what do? We give up the fight, don't we? We give up the fight and we just lay down, physically or metaphorically. We unclench our fist. We take some deep breaths. We close our eyes. Maybe we fall asleep and we're just being. We're just being. Just being. Resting. That makes so much sense to me that sometimes we just get to rest in something. To stop the fight, to stop the urgency to run, and to flee from whatever it is. Because I do believe, like I said in the opening prayer, that whatever is before us is for us. And we were born for this moment that we're in, for the challenge that we're in. That we were given all that we need to deal with the challenge at hand. That whatever it is we need, peace, rest, a deep breath, wisdom, the ability to let go, whatever it is we need, we have in that moment, but we'll never see it, we'll never come into contact with whatever it is that we need if we don't rest first. God shows up in the in-between, in the quiet, when we rest, and when we stop the fighting, when we stop our human need to make something different than what it is. It doesn't change the fact that this young woman will not bear a child. It doesn't change the fact that this mother is losing her son. It doesn't change the fact that these two will never sing again together. It doesn't change the fact that he's losing somebody he loves dearly. It doesn't change any of that. It didn't change the fact that my mother was still going to take her last breath at some point. And that I got to sit there and count her breaths. Didn't change any of that. But when I decided to rest in what was happening, I got to be with my mother. I got to just be with her in whatever was happening. So the mother, yesterday, all kinds of things were happening. Her son wasn't feeling well. And she called me in distress. She said, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I can't pray anymore. And I can't stop crying. And I didn't actually use the word rest, but what I said to her was that there is nothing to do but just be in this. Just be in it. It's not going anywhere. So let's just be. And so I just let her breathe. And I said, just breathe and cry. Just breathe and cry. And when she cried it out, then she could take deeper breaths. And then we prayed together. And I could hear her get a little bit more relaxed. And she was resting more in what was happening. And then we got to the point where she, I think, was fully resting in what was happening. And then last night happened. And hospice was called 3 times to her house. And it looks like he might have to go into a hospice facility because it looks like it's getting close. Looks like it's getting close. But when I called her this morning after I received her text, she was different. And last night was terrible. He was not keeping food down. Everything was crazy. And yet she was resting this morning when I talked to her. And I said, Jan, you're calm. And she actually was surprised because she didn't even realize that she had let go. And she said, yeah. I said, are you tired? And she said, yeah, there was very little sleep. But her voice was different. If you talk to people enough and you counsel people enough, you can hear tired and you can hear calm, because sometimes tired's not calm. And last night was ugly, but this morning she was calm. And she knows they're probably in the next chapter of his transition. And this morning was different for her. So we talked about that this is a time that she just gets to love her son where he is. And feel connected to him. Because that's really all we have is our connection with each other. Our connection with each other. We just get to be. We just get to let go. We just get to relax. And we forget in our humanness that we can just relax. And that the God that is working in all of it and has been working all the time. But we forget because in our distress, we think there's something we ought to do. Something we ought to do. Fight or flee, fight or flee. And we're all over the place. We're trying to think of the next thing to do, the next thing to say. What can I work on? What didn't I do? What should I have done? Why can't I do this better? And there is no doing it better. There just is doing it. And knowing that the God, divine wisdom, divine love, is at work. And yes, it might feel messy. And yes, it's probably hard. Harder than anything we've ever done. And yet, we're called to believe, to have faith that whatever it is we need is in abundant supply. Like I was reading about, like Pete was reading about. That supply and demand is not just about what we want to manifest in life. That has to do maybe about stuff or love or whatever. It can be about being able to rest in something. That the comfort you need, that the respite you need can be in the situation you're in. That love is at work. And that there is something at work, always. And that something is God, that something is love, that something is divine intelligence, that something is what created you and gave you all that you need to handle what you're sitting in and what you're endeavoring to rest in. We've got an omnipotent, omniscient being, energy that is God. And yet so many times we forget that it's there. We forget that it's at our disposal. We forget that it has supplied before we demand. And all we have to do is demand it in the moment. In the moment. In the half hour, in the hour, in the days, in the weeks, in the months. As long as you need whatever it is that you think you need that you don't have. or that you think is coming later, because what Pete read is that you have it now, not that you will have it. You have it now. So when we're in the struggle, I think our job is only to affirm that you have what you need now. That God is present now. God is present now. And that means you can let go. It means you can stop thinking. It means you can stop trying to figure it out. It means that you are not helpless. That whatever you have, whatever help you think you need is already there. It's already here. It's already here. The supply is there before the demand. And it is in abundant supply. Abundant supply. When we get to rest, sometimes then we get to see that perhaps the most difficult times are also the most sacred times. The most sacred times. The most blessed of times. If you've ever sat with somebody who's transitioning and you let yourself be in that moment fully, you'll feel the sacredness. If you let yourself be in it, you can have that conflicting feeling as, oh my God, my heart is breaking. But man, if I have to do this again, I'll do it again. Because this is blessed. This is sacred. And God is here in the midst. But we got to get quiet. We got to rest in order for us to be able to see and feel God at work in us and in whatever is happening. In whatever is happening. Whatever is happening. We've talked about this before. God can be in the restless places. God is in the restless places. God is in the messy places. God is in the painful places. God is in the ugly places. God is in the I don't want this places. God is in the I'm sick and tired places. God is in the I ain't got no more for this places. I'm fresh out places. Yep, God's in those places too. Yes, God's in the I got nothing places. Yes. Yes.
God, can you get me out of this place?
Yes. And God says, I made this place for you. Breathe it in, my child. I'm here with you in this place. Don't run. Don't run. Let's be here together. Be here with me. Open your arms. I'm standing here. You know, we talked about that love is right here. And yet we walk around it. We ignore it. We turn away from it because we don't want to see it because it doesn't look how we want it to look. That's right. The inner GPS. Yes, we have an inner GPS. Love is always calling us. Love, 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 which is God is always calling us. And saying, psst, right here, right here. Stop running. Stop running. Stop fighting. Unclench your fist. Open your arms. Close your eyes. And let God be with you in those difficult moments, in the moments of loss, of grief, of sadness, of anger, of just being done. Of just being done. Because God says, you're not done. I have more for you. We're going to expand. We're going to grow. You're going to be all that I created you to be in this moment. And you get to say, we get to say, I get to say, yes. Yes. And you still might be crying, and you still might be snotty, and your hair still might be all over your head. And maybe you haven't bathed in a couple of days. And maybe you got on the worst pair of sweats or pajamas you have, and you're just feeling funky and done. God is there too. God is there too. So what's going on with you? What's going on in your life? And the reaction is, I want to get the hell out, or I'm going to fight this to the end. That was always mine. I'm going to fight this till I beat it. We're from New Jersey. That's what we do. Something not working, we have a fight.
You know, I think that whenever we think it's over, it's not over.
It's just beginning.
God, it's never over with Daddy.
Yeah.
Never over.
The crucifixion was not the end.
Correct.
Easter was not the end. The rising was not the end. The ascension was not the end. The ascension was not the end. A lot of people are waiting for the second coming and they think Jesus is coming back. A lot of philosophers, me included, think that we are the second coming. When we start to embody the Christ that we are called to be, that we are created to be, that's the second coming. And Jesus lives in and through us in those moments at that time. Because he's up there saying, up there. Look, I already came. I already showed you what to do. Were you not paying attention? Just go do your thing. Just go do your thing. But you know what? When the times get hard, this is what community is for. And you can't walk it alone. You walk it with somebody who gets you, who knows your heart, your spirit, and who can be with you in the difficult time. Who will let you cry, who will let you be in your pain, who will let you feel helpless, who will let you be done with whatever's happening, and just let you be and walk the path with you. That's what we're for. Maybe scripture talking about giving up our lives for our friends. Maybe it's not that we will die physically for our friends, though some do that. Some people are called and do that. But maybe it's that we give of ourselves and we forget all that we need to be there for another. We forget our needs in the moment because someone needs us. Someone needs us to walk a path with them that is really, really hard. And they just need somebody to stand with them, be with them, hold them, listen to them, hand them tissues as they cry. And that's love in action. That's Jesus in action. That's the second coming over and over and over and over again. And over again. So we need to learn to rest. Give up the fight. Stop running. Just be in whatever it is. Be in it. Close your eyes. Affirm that God is at work in the moment, in that circumstance, and in you, and in everyone else involved. And hold that high watch for as long as you got to hold it. Until you see it and feel it. Until you see it and feel it. If we stay focused there, then at some point you'll realize that that too passed. That too passed. It's absolutely perfect. I'm suffering right now. What's going on with the phone? Oh my God. I just want to run away because I can't take it. And why can't they turn off their phones? Oh my God. I know it wasn't you. It's probably one of these two. I know.
This new lady we brought today.
See, you were trying to be kind to her, and they threw you under the bus. You can come to my house after service. Oh my God.
Trying to make you feel at home.
Oh my gosh. Life is wonderful. Let's pray for these three. Jesus, help them. Help them to find their phones. Let's take this in a meditation. Just say no. All right, drop and give me 50, you three. It was perfect. Just perfect. So yes, let's breathe together and just be together in this moment. Holding our own sadness and pain if we have any. And holding the sadness and pain of others in this world, of those that we love. And we know and affirm that because we are divine beings, that we have endless energy, endless strength and comfort and power and love and wisdom for whatever is before us. And that we can send love and comfort, compassion. We can hold somebody in our hearts. We can be somebody's strength, somebody's comfort, somebody's prayer without uttering a word. So just breathe. Breathe it in and just rest in this moment. Letting all your urgency for whatever it is in your life, just let it go. Whatever you're anxious about, whatever you're worried or concerned about, let it go. want you to see yourself resting someplace beautiful that speaks to your heart. Maybe you're floating on the crystal blue water. Maybe you're feeling the sun on your face. And you're on a sailboat, letting the wind take you where it will. Maybe you're sitting in a beautiful garden, feeling the breeze on your skin, your face uplifted to the sun. Maybe someone you love dearly is holding you. Someone who has perhaps passed on. And you feel their touch, their warmth. And you hear them whisper, "I love you," in your ear. Maybe you are laying in bed perfectly comfortable. Temperature's just right. Your whole body is relaxed. There's beautiful music playing. And you're just resting. Not anxious for anything. Totally at peace. Knowing that God is in charge. That all that you need is here in this moment. All that you were fighting for, all that you were running from, has in it exactly what you need. And that you were born for this moment. You're perfectly at ease because divine intelligence is in and through all things. Everything is good and right in this moment, even in the messy places. And you're so convicted in this faith, this belief in the all good, that you no longer see the mess or the ugly, that you no longer suffer. You are fully at rest. Fully at rest. Affirming that life is good, that you are good. And that we can take another step. And the step after that, in full faith. In full faith. And that whatever it is, it too shall pass. It too shall pass. So let's take a deep breath in and exhale. With each breath, we become more rested, more peaceful, more open, fully allowing the divine to be at work. And like the wind in the sail, guiding us to our highest and good in the moment, in the present circumstance. So we say yes and thank you for rest. Yes, and thank you for the ability to let go, to release, to let the divine in us, as us, to be in charge, to open our divine eyes to the good that is God. Yes, and thank you. Yes, and thank you. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.